everybody, and welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. I hope everybody is doing okay on this Monday, April 25th, 2022. And I hope everyone had a great weekend. Before we get into the fun stuff, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth to all your friends and follow Alex Cuesta Show. Just go search for it, the Alex Cuesta Show, on social media. Anywhere you're on there, we should be there. So hello, everybody. Like I said, I hope everyone had a great weekend. I feel like I found myself back here every Monday, raring to go for a full week, and then you get 3 shows. So hopefully it'll be better and we'll get a bunch. If I'm not super enthusiastic tonight, it's because the fucking Brooklyn Nets pissed me off. They suffered a sweep tonight from the Boston Celtics. They deserve all the ridicule and the hate. So if you want to bring it, bring it. They absolutely deserve it. They didn't show up, but I'm not here to talk about shitty Brooklyn. I'm not here to talk about that. What I am here to talk about, and what I am here to start with, is the Biden COVID tracker, because we have a little bit of a phenomenon going on that I don't know if anyone's catching on to. So let's talk. I was here the 22nd on Friday. We had 80,801,713 cases and 990,208 deaths. So as of Saturday, we had 80,843,841 cases, an uptick of 42,128, and there was no change in the death number. Okay, every once in a while, the stats kind of don't catch up, and we get a no change, and I accept that. That's fine. So let's see what happened on Sunday. Are we going to get a nice, a bump on Sunday and find out what the numbers are? So cases, 80,855,787, an uptick of 11,946. So a moderate uptick. I've been convinced that over the weekends, they kind of don't give the same amount of numbers. Like I said, again, government workers don't work on weekends. So I don't know if it's a skeleton crew collecting it, but I don't know. It doesn't look like a right number, maybe. But then we look at deaths. Again, no change. 990,208, sitting as the same as Friday, the 22nd. This is the 24th we're talking about. So for 3 days, that number has stayed the same. Okay. Maybe they're really taking the weekend off. They did cases that, deaths might not be enough to really throw in there. So they're not doing it. Today, the 25th, cases are at 80,869,032. Cases, that's up 40,245 since Sunday. So it's another significant bump as compared to what we've been seeing relatively. It's still a moderate bump compared to the height of COVID, but relatively speaking, it's a good bump. Deaths have had to go up by now, right? They've had to catch up. And what we've learned is the deaths kind of follow the track with there's a bump in cases. About 2 weeks later, we get a report in deaths, blah, blah, blah. It has not moved. It is still at 990,208 deaths. I'm curious what this number bumps up to eventually, if it bumps up to, and if it doesn't, what are they trying to do? They know people monitor these numbers daily. I'm one of them that looks at it because I'm on my mission to not give Joe Biden a break. The man with the plan fucked up, and he has screwed up everything he's done royally. Bigger news has taken eyes off of him lately, which is a good thing for the left, because the more he's exposed, the worse their November gets. And the more Kamala's exposed, the worse their November gets. So it's a good thing that there hasn't been as much news about Mr. Biden. But this is sketchy. I don't know if this is just a statistics glitch and them not catching up. I don't know if there's not enough deaths to really record, which to me would say a lot. Well, let's remind you why I'm doing this. I'm doing this until they give up the pandemic powers that they had. I am doing this until they drop it down to officially an endemic. You realize we are, for the most part, living normal lives now, and they are still claiming we're in a pandemic. Still claiming we are in a pandemic. Let that sink in. So yeah, that's what we're going on there. We'll keep a lookout on that. We will keep a lookout on that because that is sketchy as all hell. A few things I want to get to before I jump into the main article, because there is an article today that I want to read. It's big news that I think everyone has touched on and covered, but I'm going to do it my way. But the first thing I want to touch on is an article from CNBC.com. Obviously, NewsGuard gives it a fresh 95 out of 100 because they're awesome. An article written by Alex Sherman. Netflix is finally going after password sharing. Here's how it's likely to work. So this was Netflix's answer to losing subscribers. Not only have they continually raised their prices on their subscribers, they've now lost a bunch. And what was their response to losing a ton of subscribers because of Russia and the war? Let's see if we can make extra money by cracking down on password sharing. Granted, it wasn't that long ago, only a few years ago, that they promoted password sharing because they just wanted people to watch their content, and more eyes, it might make people want to get their own account or recommend, listen, there's a great show. I'm on my whatever's account. I really can't give that to you, but you should really get Netflix. And maybe that person's like, fuck, I don't have a relative. Let me be that relative and I'll get a Netflix. That was their plan. Now they're going to crack down on it. And what they're going to do is they're going to charge a sub account to the person who has the Twitter for all the people that are sharing a password. Now, the article mentions that it's going to get tricky. It will get tricky because they don't know if this is a kid abroad and they're just using their parents' Netflix. And that would be a no-no because they are still the kids. They don't know if a person's on a long vacation. They're gone for a month and they're using their Netflix in a new location. They don't know who's who. They said they're going to go after the people who have like 15 accounts first. And that kind of, it doesn't make sense. Somebody's paying for that service and somebody's paying for that password and that right. They should be able to use it how they want in a way. And especially since they encourage this at a time. So what does it say about Netflix? Netflix is in its death throes, it seems. That's all I get from this. They are hemorrhaging subscribers, not only because of the war in Russia, that exactly exacerbated it, but they are losing. They're losing pretty badly to the likes of Amazon Prime, to the likes of HBO Max, especially HBO Max is fucking everybody up right now. And Hulu's kicking their ass in a lot of ways. Netflix is the original, but they are a dying breed right now. Their shows aren't that great. They've gone really fucking woke. And that never works out well. That doesn't work well. And I forgot to include Disney Plus. Disney Plus is in there too, kicking the shit out of Netflix. Yet I know Disney's woke, but Disney also has Marvel and Disney has Star Wars. And those two things alone, especially with the great things and the shows coming out of both of them, is going to propel them ahead of a lot of places. But, Prime has great shows on it and a lot of good movies. HBO Max has just came in and fucked everybody up. And then you have Hulu, which has been, consistently good and better than Netflix because Hulu also has their live edition. So Netflix is flailing and their answer is to charge people a little more. They've already been upping prices. Now they're going to start penalizing people for doing exactly what they wanted them to do years ago. And, they say it's they've remolded this in a few South American countries and it's $2, $2.99 here, $2.45 there. And they're saying it's just a modest number because we want people to continue sharing, but we don't. No shot. What's going to happen here is they're going to lose some more subscribers because of this. They're going to look at it and say, Netflix isn't that great anymore anyway. It's not what it used to be. I get more enjoyment out of my Hulu. I get more enjoyment out of my Disney Plus. I get more enjoyment out of my HBO Max, and they're not doing this. So I'm just going to switch to them. Now, if Netflix somehow can get one of these companies or two of these companies on board with that, maybe, who knows? If they can get somebody on board with that, who knows? Or maybe they might initially start this, see how fucking terrible it is and say, okay, and do what a lot of other streaming services do and say, listen, you're allowed to have X number of people with you for free. If you want more, then you have to pay. It'll be your choice whether or not you want to pay for the extra. But just in case you have those friends and family, we'll give you 3 accounts you could share this password with. After that, you then have to pay a premium. Okay. I feel like people would do that. But to just sit there after promoting password sharing for the longest time and knowing the jokes, like there's 10 million users on Netflix and 300 million viewers at any time. Like it's a funny joke, but it's a terrible bomb to drop. And I think Netflix is going to suffer more because of this. And it could end them. They don't change it quick. This is a terrible policy. So we'll see. We shall see what goes on with Netflix, but I just want to let everybody know how ridiculous that is that's going on right there. This was their answer to losing money and losing subscribers. Let's push more subscribers away. Great plan, fucking brain trust. Anyway, let's jump into the next quick article before I read the main poo-ha here, or poo-bah, I don't know what it is. Before I read the main one, this one is from the Washington Examiner. And before anybody rolls their eyes at that, because it's the Examiner, it has a 92.5 from NewsGuard. So kick rocks, you motherfuckers. Anyway, the article is written by Jerry Dunleavy, Justice Department reporter. I don't know why they included that. This one was written on the 23rd, and it also was a Netflix one on the 23rd as well. I like to include that so people know if they want to look it up, something's being fishy, just make sure you know the date. These are both written on the 23rd. So again, Jerry Dunleavy wrote it. Durham issues trial subpoenas to Clinton campaign and DNC. So to those not paying attention, special counsel John Durham is still plugging away over there, trying to figure out who started this Russia collusion narrative. Was it nefarious? And can people go to jail for it? And he's really starting to try and really dig and crack open. Now, I know he has been criticized by both on the left and the right. The left saying this is unfair. It's a witch hunt. Fuck this guy. The right saying he's not doing enough. He's not issuing out enough subpoenas. You look at what he's doing, and it looks like he's kind of doing soft taps on the eggshell to see if he can get a crack. And then if he gets that fucking crack, he's going to burst this whole egg open. What essentially this article says is that through trial subpoenas for Michael Sussman, who was the Hillary Clinton lawyer that seemed to be the middleman communicating for the Trump dossier with Fusion GPS and Perkins Coie and the DNC. If they can, it seems like he's trying to go after Sussman. Now, initially, Sussman was looked at, oh, he's just a low level. He's a whatever lawyer from the Clinton campaign. Why are you going after him? The more they find out about Michael Sussman, the more we find out about Michael Sussman. He was a kind of a key cog in the middle of everything. Yes, he's not significantly important to the crimes, if there were any committed, or to just finding out that this was fucked up politically and that something like this shouldn't be allowed to happen again, whatever you want to take from it. We're finding out more about him and the fact that he was kind of the guy that was the one talking around. Now, Durham has been trying to basically put things into discovery and trying to get subpoenas and compel documents coming from the DNC, coming from Fusion GPS, coming from Perkins Coie, coming from the Clinton campaign. They're trying to stonewall him at every single turn, saying that it's attorney-client privilege, and he's not allowed to see them, but he's pushing. And I tell you, if he gets what he wants and can get documents from these individuals that will disclose what happened, especially Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS was a boogeyman that we were told it was a right-wing fake bullshit thing, and we don't know what we're talking about for so many years. And now here they are back in, and they are being officially investigated, and they are stonewalling because there was official connections to the Clinton campaign and DNC. They were fined. Both of them, both the Clinton campaign and DNC, were fined for illegally funneling money into this organization for research. Whatchamacallit? I forget the exact term of it, but basically try and dig up dirt on the Trump campaign, and that's not where they claimed the money was going to them for. They claimed it was going to them for legal advice, and it wasn't. It was going to them for them to pay Michael Steele, the British spy, to create a bullshit dossier that started a wiretapping on the Trump campaign and eventually led to the Russia collusion nonsense and all of this fake stuff that has never been corroborated and has been proven false. So this article basically goes down the fact that Durham is starting to push. And what we first saw thinking, Sussman was a low level piece of shit. He's not doing great. Durham is just kind of fucking this one up. We really want to see blood in a not a literal sense, you weirdos in the left, but we want to see some action for people, especially if they broke the law, but basically to say, we were all right. We all knew this shit already. Let's really get this out in the open. But it seems like he was doing it in a more methodical way. And again, lawyers, people like this, They know how to do things in a more methodical way. We're a bunch of crass motherfuckers. We just want things done. And especially if you're listening to people on the radio, even if they have documents, they can just say it. They're not worried about any legal repercussions, really. If they have it in front of them, it's proof. But they don't have to go in front of a judge to present this type of shit. So he's doing it a much more methodical way. And I feel like if he can get what he wants in terms of trying to see documents and messages and things in writing that were between Sussman and these other groups, we could see something huge. Shit could really get real. Heads can actually roll in this situation. Now, I fear for John Durham's life. He's fucking with a Clinton, and we know what happens with people who fuck with the Clintons. So people need to protect John Durham. That man actually needs to have legitimate, I don't even think Secret Service, because I don't trust the fucking Secret Service. He needs to have somebody that maybe can fight the Secret Service so the Clintons can't kill him. But we'll see. We shall see. Things are getting interesting, and you need to pay attention to this stuff because this is big. Nowhere else is really reporting too heavily on this. Nowhere else. The Examiner has a nice article on it here, and you should read it. But this could be a big deal. So pay attention to that. I recommend everybody pay attention to that. So let's jump into the main deal. The story I think everyone is talking about right now. In an article from the New York Post by Ariel Zilber and Theo Waite. I don't know how to say your name. Sorry, Theo Waite, I think. Theo Waite. I fucked that up. It was written today, had to be written today, because Twitter accepts Elon Musk's $44 billion bid. You heard that right. Twitter is now going to be a company owned by the richest man on the planet. Let's read this article. Let's go through it. It's not super long, and then we'll kind of talk about the implications and everything of Musk. Twitter's board of directors said Monday afternoon that it has accepted Tesla CEO Elon Musk's $44 billion offer to buy the company, bringing an end to a week-long saga and ushering in a new era for the struggling social media platform. Now, I don't know about that last part, struggling social media platform. I guess it's struggling in the sense of there's a lot of pushback, a lot more pushback than I think they ever wanted. Dorsey was left. Agrawal, Parag. I don't know how to say your last name. I'm sorry, Agrawal. That's really not meant to offend you. I apologize. The new Twitter CEO has not really done too well to kind of bridge any gaps. So I don't know about the struggling. I guess in certain ways it is. Let's keep going. Musk, who has said he wants to buy Twitter in order to restore the platform's adherence to free speech principles, will pay $54.20 per share for the company, which he has vowed to take private. Now, if he takes it private, that'll be massive. That'll be massive. It would be a game changer that they would not be a publicly traded company anymore. That would be huge. Let's keep going. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated, Musk said in a statement. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source and to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. Now, these are some big things right here. This is huge. This is huge. He said about the digital town square before, and he's not incorrect. It's kind of where in the olden days, people will go stand on soapboxes and shout. That's what we're doing here on Twitter. We're all on our soapbox when we get on Twitter and we put whatever we want into that little box. Now, what he's talking about in terms of these are all things that he's talked about that people have said to him. And man, if he comes in and tries to make do, it could be huge. Could be huge. Making algorithms open source, that would be great. So we would know how we're getting fucked in a way. But yeah, it's been so behind the box that they could just claim algorithm, why people are getting booted, why these things are going on. Open source algorithms are good. Defeating spam bots are going to be hard, but one way he is doing it is authenticating humans, where people have scoffed like, you're going to take away anonymity. Yes, that's the whole purpose of defeating spam bots. You crazy fucking leftists that just want to troll people and I'm guilty of that too. I love trolling. I 100% got ratioed by a bunch of crazy leftists defending Rick Wilson today. Rick Wilson's one of the founders of the Lincoln Project. It's hilarious when a quote unquote Republican has a bunch of leftists going to war for him. Kind of says all you need to know about the guy. Rhino, fake ass Republican, whatever you want to call them, milquetoast Republicans. Yeah, that was hilarious. Anyway, that would be big. That would be huge. We'd all be check marks as long as you're alive and you're not a fucking robot. So yes, this could be big as long as Musk comes through as well as he can. It's easy to say anything you need to say. It's hard to put it into practice, but Musk has done some difficult things before. So I think he's going to make a good attempt at this. Let's keep going. The proposed transaction will deliver a substantial cash premium, and we believe it is the best path forward for Twitter stockholders. Twitter board chair Brett Taylor said, and he said it perfectly. In the end, it's all about the almighty dollar. Bottom line, they're going to do this because it has a good chance to make a lot of money. Let's keep going. Trading of Twitter stock was halted leading up to the announcement. Twitter shares were trading at $51.98 each ahead of the pause, indicating that investors were uncertain whether the deal would actually go through. I always find it bizarre. I understand why they pause it because you don't know if the ownership's going to happen, and that could create uncertainty and the stock can go. But I don't know. It's a stock market. I think you got to let it go, but that's neither here nor there. It's financial stuff that I'm not as keen on at all. Let's keep going here. At $44 billion, Musk is paying more than 175 times as much for Twitter as Amazon founder Jeff Bezos paid for the Washington Post in 2013. And it is one of the worst papers on the planet now because Bezos is a fucking douchebag. Let's keep going. Ahead of the announcement, Twitter's board met on Monday to discuss Musk's proposal after shareholders warmed to the idea of the takeover. Reuters reported earlier on Monday that Musk wooed investors with the particulars of his proposal, which was initially met with resistance from some of the company's largest stakeholders. I'm going to read the next paragraph and talk as they kind of go together. The board has adopted a poison pill defense strategy whereby it offered shareholders an opportunity to buy up more stock at a discount, thus diluting the value in hopes of dissuading Musk from mounting a hostile takeover. But after Musk secured $46.5 billion in financing, investors pressured the board to seriously consider the offer. Musk and board members negotiated on Sunday and continued discussions into the early hours of Monday morning, according to the New York Times. So that's big there because they were against it and a bunch of shareholders were against it, but he has something in the works. So here's the thing, and that's what scares me. It scares me a little bit here, and this is my pause. What is in the proposal that makes a bunch of leftists happy? Obviously, the money talks and how much money I think they can make talks. But these people are a bunch of ESG motherfuckers. They actually believe in this type of shit. Some of them understand how evil ESG is, but a lot of them also believe in it. So what did Musk say to make the ESG people happy? Now, I get it. The E environmental, he's all there. He's an environmentalist to the core. Social, free speech doesn't jive with what these people think socially. They don't want to have their ideas debated. So that's a tricky one. And G, governance, Musk is a big fuck you to the government and the way things are governed. And is he going to then make stakeholders a thing? Stakeholder capitalism? We'll find out. And that could be a problem. So we'll see. We'll see where he goes with this, but it's interesting to find out what in that proposal made a lot of these people switch. Maybe it was just, I'll make you a fucking ton of money. And if that's the case, capitalism, let's do it, baby. But who knows? Let's keep going. Twitter was unable to secure a so-called, quote, go shop provision from Musk, which would have allowed it to solicit other bids from potential buyers after the deal was signed. It was reported earlier on Monday, which is smart on Musk. Either take my deal or fuck off. Still, Twitter would be allowed to accept an offer from another party by paying Musk a breakup fee, the source added. And that breakup fee is probably substantial, so it's going to really hurt them from doing it because I don't think Musk is going to make a deal that hurts him. The man hasn't yet really, so shit. Every single company he's bought has turned into gold, at least in the billions in profit. Let's keep going. While the two sides were talking, an agreement was by no means a certainty, particularly after board members raised several potential red flags, including Musk's ongoing legal battles with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The board got some extra time with the poison pill, but ultimately had to get to the negotiation table with Musk to get this deal done. Wedbush Securities Managing Director Dan Ives said in a note, "We do not expect any major regulatory hurdles to the deal getting done as this soap opera now ends with Musk owning Twitter." So essentially, the SEC is going to back off. Now that he's owning it, it's going to become a new property of his, and they're going to have potential new issues to deal, but I think they're going to back off on a lot of the shit. And it's interesting, the SEC stuff was brought up ad nauseum after Musk bought up a bunch of shares by a lot of people on the left. They've been trying to paint this guy as the bad guy when he was a darling not too long ago. Let's keep going here. Earlier this month, Musk shocked the world when he announced that he acquired 9.2% stake in the company. I just talked about that. Days later, however, he turned down an offer to join the board of directors, setting up a showdown that culminated in his hostile takeover bid. Yeah, that was always funny. He's like, cool, I'm going to join the board. Nope, I want your company. And I guess, when you have fuck you money, you could do things like that. Let's keep going here. We only got a little bit more. Musk's acquisition of Twitter has unnerved many of the site's more liberal users, while it has energized pro-Republican voices who want the platform to reinstate former President Donald Trump, which is hilarious. That free speech scares these people so much. I had a leftist tell me that he's on board with free speech, but just be worried about advertisers walking away on both sides when that speech hurts. Man, while I agree with the advertisers, fuck them. Okay? Because it's their wokeness that's going to mess them up. So I don't want a wokey telling me that they might walk away because of the woke. Maybe they do. And maybe Twitter burns to the ground and whatever. I don't think Musk gives a shit. I really don't. I don't think Musk cares if it burns to the ground because he opened it up to free speech. Then it burns. It's interesting. $44 billion, which he acquired financially, he could pay that off with one of his other companies. If this burns to the ground, he'll pay it off to one of his other subsidiaries as a company. He'll pay it off to Tesla. He'll pay it off to one of the other companies, taking something out of them. That's how rich he is. He doesn't care. Let's keep going here. Trump was banned by Twitter and other large social media companies for his role in the January 6, 2021 rioting at the U.S. Capitol, which he didn't have much of a role, if any, besides doing a fucking speech down the road. Anyway, while Musk has had voiced support for less stringent content moderation policies at Twitter, he has not said whether he will allow Trump to return to the platform. Yet Trump himself claims that he won't return to the platform, even if Musk lets him. And instead plans to use his own struggling Twitter alternative, Truth Social, even though he hasn't posted on the site since February. Yet Truth Social is really pigeonholing itself. You can't go on any of the major Play stores and download it. You probably have to download it through the website. But I've always been annoyed at this when it comes to quote unquote conservative media. They block off half of the base already. And I have the base, half of the potential users already just from making it known they're conservative. And then Trump has even blocked off more of a following. Because, yeah, you got 74 million votes, but not all 74 million are super MAGA Trump faithfuls. So you're probably cutting that down by at least another 30, 40 million, at least. And then how many of those people are actually going to take the time to get on Truth Social? Really hurting yourself for your potential viewership when you make a platform like this. But hey, Trump's going to Trump. Let's keep going on the last little blip here. Twitter also drew the ire of conservatives when it blocked a link to a New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop just weeks before the November 2020 presidential election. They had to throw that in there because they are the New York Post, and I don't blame them because they did draw ire for that because they completely and totally affected the 2020 election by burying this story and making it persona non grata because the media had a hard on to make sure Trump didn't win. Anyway, so that's the article there. I just want to touch on a few more things when it comes to Elon Musk. We talked about, what his feelings are. This could be great for free speech. This really could, because he's claimed to be a free speech absolutist, and he wants to have unfettered free speech. And again, he wants First Amendment unfettered free speech. All the people are like, unfettered free speech can be a bad thing. Blah, blah, blah. He wants First Amendment. So if you don't like First Amendment unfettered free speech, where it's protected and kind of within that bounds, then you don't like the First Amendment, and you probably don't like the Constitution. Probably makes you a Marxist. So I don't give a shit about your opinion is anyway, for the most part. But it could be great if we get First Amendment unfettered free speech. If people are allowed to say anything they want outside of making threats and shit like that, and saying they're gonna kill someone, outside of that shit, great, awesome. Everyone should get their opportunity to talk, because then we get to find out who the psychos really are, and we don't have to interact with them. So that's good. I'm also curious. They talk about bringing back Trump, but there's other people that have been kicked off there that probably shouldn't be if you're a free speech platform. Alex Jones is one of them from InfoWars. Love him or hate him, Alex Jones should not have been kicked off. Yes, he was fucked up for Sandy Hook. He was a moron about 9/11. But he's allowed to have those opinions. And you know what? It's easier to find yourself to get away from these people if you know what they are and their opinions are, and not just blanking them out. Because if they move in silence, Alex Jones has an absolutely gigantic following, and it keeps growing, but he's moving in silence. So if he is as much of an absolute psycho as they say he is, if he is as dangerous as they say he is, wouldn't you want him to be more out in the open? Isn't that what you would prefer? That you know how he's moving, that you know how his followers are moving? And on that note, let's talk about Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is one of the most hated people on the planet, and he's in his 20s. They call him a white supremacist. They call him a Nazi. All these type of things. He has his own little convention during the CPAC. I don't even know what the name of it is, but they call it a Nazi white supremacy convention, extended a new Klan meet. And he's been banned for a long time. He's banned from all social media, Nick Fuentes. And if you don't have a great following and you're not prepared for the backlash, if you have him on, there's a chance that you get fucking destroyed too. It takes balls to have Nick Fuentes on. It does. It takes balls. It takes confidence in yourself. It takes confidence in the company you work for. It takes a lot to have Nick Fuentes on. But he deserves to be on every single social media platform. Again, if he's that bad of a guy, you should want to know what he's thinking. You should want to know what he's saying. You should want to know what his followers say. It's the beauty of having Antifa on Twitter at a lot of times. You know that these violent fucking terrorists, actually fascist people, are insane. And they tell you where they're going to be and where they're going to go and what they're going to do. They say it on Twitter all the time. Never banned. Never banned. If we're talking by association, shouldn't actually putting out the planning and saying where to be, and then if something violent happens, shouldn't that technically get them kicked off? Technical promotion of violence and promotion of being there. But I digress. I don't want anyone kicked off. I want them to I want to know what these psychos say. And shouldn't that be the same? No. They don't want that. They don't want you to know what they're saying. Because you know why? Because as crazy as Alex Jones is, as much as I don't agree with a lot of things, most of the things Nick Fuentes says, they have points at times. They do tell the truth at times. And the truth hurts what the leftists are trying to say. So get them off. Get them off. Another thing to think of, are other social media companies now going to allow you to put tweets up? In a way, is Instagram going to allow you to screenshot a tweet and put it up in a picture? Will they block those certain things? Will Facebook allow you to copy and paste it and put it into your status? A lot of people have done stuff like that. Will that now be blocked? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe it'll be for, not abiding by all the rules, because they kind of all play by the same rules. They all definitely sit there and is like, oh, you're going to ban them? We'll ban them. Are you going to ban them? We'll ban them. Is this a rule? Should we not talk about this? Let's make sure we don't election fraud, or don't talk about that, or can't say anything against the LGBTQ community. It's only the don't say gay bill. Don't talk about the really thing that, it's like they all work on the same thing. It's like the media, like the leftist media. They all get their fucking talking points and they talk about them all day. Well, I feel like social media, they sit there and they get together, and Zuckerberg and probably a Grawl now, formerly Jack Dorsey, and all of these, clowns, they get together and they say, what are we going to allow on our platforms? Not this, not this, not this, not this. Okay, cool. All conservative shit. So we're going to try and prevent a lot of conservatives from making money and having voices. It's just the reality of it. There's not many leftists that have been kicked off, if at all, of Twitter. And if they have, they're probably small time, just saying, I'm going to kill somebody, and they got kicked off, rightfully so. But that's that curiosity. How are they going to are other social media platforms going to play nice with Twitter if it opens up free speech? And lastly, we should be skeptical of Elon Musk. I see a lot of people on the right just having a celebration. Like, the leftists have been defeated. Like, we just stopped them. And man, why are we not more skeptical of things? Have we not just had a lesson about how our lackadaisicalness allowed leftists to infiltrate all the important institutions? Education, government, business, all of it. The leftists have infiltrated all of it over time, especially education. But they're now in all the boardrooms. They're doing ESG and hedge funds. They're certainly in our government. You saw with the fucking deep state with Trump. They were all over there. And we're trusting Elon Musk. Carte blanche. We're going to trust him. Mark Zuckerberg's obviously a leftist. He's one of the biggest moguls around. Facebook, Instagram, that's Meta now. It's gigantic. Trying to turn us into Ready Player One. We all hate him because of he's a psycho. He is a quite literal a leftist that just wants power. and he wants to control your life. He wants to do it. That's his goal. But we're just cool with Elon Musk, who is a known crazy environmentalist, a full believer of man-made climate change. He is a believer of the 2030 deadline, essentially. Like, I don't think he would argue too much with that. That's why he's trying to go to Mars. It's the whole purpose of SpaceX. The guy's rich enough to run away, and he's trying to. And we're all really happy that this guy who, I mean, his actions have been good so far. He talks the right talk. He goes on Joe Rogan and does a good show. Hopefully he does go on Tim Pool and does Tim Pool show. That'd be fucking dope. But I wouldn't trust him yet. Let's see what his actions do as the owner of Twitter. Let's see if he puts his money where his mouth is. And let's see if he doesn't change and go back. Because it's real easy to start off coming in strong. And then once you start seeing all the hurdles, and then once you start seeing all the things that come along with it, do you start to dial back? What are you going to allow as a free speech absolutionist that's First Amendment based? Are you really going to allow that? Is that going to be true? We'll find out. Can we talk about the environment any way that we want? Even if it doesn't jive with Elon Musk? Who knows? For now, probably, yeah. Who knows down the road? It's going to be interesting. I am not fully trusting of Elon Musk yet. I want to. He's been great. He's been cool. He does a lot of cool shit. Smart guy. Seems to really like people and wants people to survive and live pretty well for the most part. The Ukrainian thing, sending Starlink to Ukraine, that was dope. That was cool. He just did it. Boom. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Donating the money to try and end world hunger. If they gave him a nice proof of it, I'm hoping that they end world hunger soon because he did give them the money. So let's see if they actually put their money, quote unquote, where their mouth is. Again, pretty cool. Put a question down, said, is that what you want? Okay, I'm going to do it. Sold the stocks, shares because he said he was going to do it. This guy seems to be a man of his word, which is great. Cool. Still need to see. I'm still on the fence. Prove me. Give me a reason to completely and totally trust you. This is it. This is the big deal. Twitter. And I know I'm just a little guy. No one gives a fuck about me. But I'm just always skeptical. All of these right-wing blue check marks on Twitter are celebrating like Trump just got back in office or DeSantis got a big win or November comes around and it's a giant red fucking wave and people are celebrating because things are going well. They're celebrating Elon Musk, who is saying the right things, has done a few good things, but we shall see. I remain hopeful because Elon Musk does seem to be like a man of his word. And if he is, and he's really a free speech absolutionist, great. Awesome. We shall see. But overall, leftists are losing their minds because they got outsmarted, outwitted, and outcashed, which they really don't do with the Soros backing. But they got outcashed on one of their favorite platforms where the Twitter mob has worked very well in their favor in the cancel culture. So they're about to lose one of their main weapons, which is awesome. And we shall see how it plays out. But that is all for this episode. This episode is officially played out. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth if you like the show. And find us on socials at The Alex Cuesta Show. Go search it. You'll find us everywhere. Hopefully see everybody tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the show. So long, everybody.